Good afternoon, Teresa. How's it up in Gauteng? Tanya in Cape Town. Yeah, mixed weather. You're quite right. Not 100% sure. Very, very strange. Have you got your surfboard back, Tarquin? That you're now craving the waves, or is it the craving because you don't have a surfboard at the moment, or not any opportunities to do it? Right, people, if I excuse myself for 5 minutes, it's not because I don't want to chat to you. I have a stomach bug. I've been up since 2, and you know what the stomach bug does? It's like somebody hitting you with a baseball bat on the knees. That's how I feel at the moment. And yeah, so if I have to quickly call on nature, then or answer the call, then I'll quickly do that. But hopefully, it's not going to interrupt us at all. And yeah, as they say, you are just one visit away from the bathroom to get to your ideal weight. And I'm hoping that that's going to be the upside to my experience at the moment. But I tell you what, I literally slept till. Fortunately, my younger son, was in grade 11, got his vaccination yesterday, so he wasn't feeling great either. So he didn't go to school. But I'm up at 4:30 every morning. Been for the best part of the last 25 years. And I literally woke 15 minutes ago. I just went through the shower quickly and started the session. So thanks for joining the session. I appreciate that a great deal. As I said last week, and as you can see from your screen, this is going to be the format for today, tomorrow, and Friday. I've broken up to 15 chapters. We've done one last week already. So in last week's recordings, live sessions, you will have the PowerPoint of what you see on the screen for chapters 1 to 4, as well as the recordings. We'll do the same this week. I'll upload this later today with today's recordings, and we should finish the chapters because it's revision. We're just going through the most important aspects and just touching on them again, and then we'll repeat it tomorrow and Friday. Everybody heard the great news that we're going to stage 4, or has gone to stage 4 since half an hour ago. Just plan your day around that. I fortunately, the way I feel now, I'm definitely not going to. I didn't rush to get to the campus this morning. I decided to rather stay at home, and it's actually a good thing because I would have been stuck right in the middle of a power outage. So people, yeah, plan around that. Fortunately, as I said, there's recordings. Mine starts at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So if we finish 2 minutes early today, it's probably because we don't want to miss anything. But we should be able to finish everything. Then obviously the good news and the bad news depends on who you support. Thank you very much, Mo Salah, for embarrassing Man United. And to the Man United supporters, my condolences. But seriously, with the squad that you have, the players that you have available, my goodness, you need to sack your manager because he just doesn't know which are the best players to get onto field. Why would you not start with Cavalli? Why would you not start with Pogba? I don't understand it. And Puro Chancho, I mean, he must think, oh, geez, why did they come to Man United? I'm cashing in every week. I'm going to the bank and I'm doing a statement, and then it's just another financial boost. But oh my word, why don't give some guy a chance? Anyway, more about that later. Hopefully, it will go better in the next couple of weeks. Although you've got Spurs, Atalanta, and Man City on the horizon over the next 2 weeks. So good luck to everybody in the Premier League who's not supporting Man City and Liverpool at the moment. Then, my apologies, people. Then, yeah, the bad news for me is just, again, we've given ourselves a good opportunity to maybe win a Cricket World Cup. The guys did very well in the first game, but they narrowly lost 2 balls to go against Australia. Played well against West Indies yesterday. But seriously, people, we must be the only country that have, yeah, that have the political challenges that we have. You know what? To me, if you ever in your life, in future, in your studies and in your work, are going to be asked by your boss or your supervisor to provide an example of poor leadership. Sorry, I'm going to take a sip of water quickly. Then you basically just use the example of Cricket South Africa's management. You know what? On the eve, literally, when the guys are on the bus to the field to play a very important game, you make an announcement about what you expect them to do. Basically, it's a friendly request, but we know. I mean, this is, they were told, either you bend your knee and support Black Lives Matter movement, or you don't play. And then, yeah, people like Quentin Lecoq will say, I've got my freedom of speech, I've got my freedom of choice. I think that's what everybody fought for many, many years, regardless of race, creed, or gender. So, you know what? I'm not going to. I support the topic, very much in favor for it. There shouldn't be any form of discrimination. But please, this is 2021. We're beyond that of you telling me this is what you will have to do. And it's fine line between saying that, yeah, we're paying your salary, so you're going to do what we say. You know what? Unfortunately, the sad part of this is that we're going to the voting stations on Monday, and we have not progressed, in my opinion, very much since 1994. As a matter of fact, okay, but let's park the bad news. But this is for me right up there with how the Man United supporters felt after Sunday. The chapters that we're going to cover, chapters 5, 6, 7, and 8 in this session, deal with management of yourself and management of your time. You'll see the same trend with all the slides that we're going to use over the next couple of days. It starts a chapter with basically highlighting the learning outcomes and the important topics of that chapter, and then we delve into each of them individually. At this point, does anybody have any questions regarding any work that we've done or the chapters that we're going to cover today? If you don't, please feel free to at any time during the session raise your hand and stop me, and I will address your concern. Right. We've said very often before that in sales, for instance, you as a salesperson are very much in charge of your own activities. Very often you're working out of office. Sometimes you're out of office for more than 2 weeks. You're out on the road. You're visiting clients. You're prospecting for new customers. And a lot of self-discipline is required because you are going to find it sometimes challenging. A lot of discipline is required, but I think that comes with the territory. You know that it comes with the profession of being in sales. You can expect that. I suppose it's very similar in other jobs, even if you are office bound most of the time. Right. You have to, however, keep in mind that although it's your responsibility to manage yourself and manage your time, the boss is not always going to look over your shoulder and say, listen, you know what, get going. You still have to make 10 calls today. You're just going to get it from them if you have not reached your targets. So there's a lot of flexibility that comes with a lot of responsibility. Having said that, my apologies. That's the main reason why you as a salesperson have to be very, very up to date with what the company's mission and vision is and the objectives that they're trying to achieve, and then marry it with your own personal vision, mission, and objectives. If there's no synergy between what you want to achieve and what your company expects you to achieve, you're at the wrong job, because you are not going to be committed to doing what's expected, because it doesn't tie in with your own objectives and vision. Right. I think we have, sure, on every occasion, I think that we got to setting goals and objectives. We addressed the issue of the SMART principle, where you have to, every time you set a goal and objective, apply it by ensuring that your goals are realistic, that you can actually achieve them, that they're reachable. But they must be challenging. You can't just make it too easy, because then you're going to stagnate. You're going to get to a point where, because your objectives that you set for yourself are so low, it's easily achievable every month, but you're also going nowhere. We have to push the envelope. We have to ensure that our boundaries are challenged on a regular basis. The measurability of it, important. Fortunately, with all the devices we have nowadays, with all the software that's available, it's easy to measure our progress, because we capture the information. The information is then analyzed within the parameters of the objectives that we have set. It's easy for us to see where we have to then prioritize which ones are more important than others. Usually, in the case of sales, this refers to your A grade customers, those who are contributing towards 80% of your turnover, your key accounts, so to speak. And then also, because it is measurable, because it is written down, because it is captured somewhere, it allows us to hopefully regularly, and not just annually, for instance, but regularly, I would say monthly, evaluate and see if we're still on track. You don't want to get to the point where it's a week before exams and you think, oh my goodness, you know what, maybe I should start attending class, or maybe I should plan my revision for the exam that starts. The second years currently have study break. They have study leave this week. They start with exams on Tuesday. You guys have a study week next week and start with your exams on the 8th. Right. Just a sidebar reminder there. Time management, people. I think I said to you, and I'm not sure if it was in sales in this module during this semester, or if it was in the first semester when we did business marketing. But I made it clear that if there's one thing that I want you to achieve, or that hopefully you do achieve in your first year of study after school, it is to learn how to manage your time. It is a bit more difficult because on a tertiary level, your primary and secondary school 12-year career that you had there, it was pretty much set for you. This is it. You start Monday to Friday. School starts at 7:45 or 8 o'clock, and it finishes at 2 or 2:30. You know where to go. the semesters are set out and already at the start, you know when your exams are, everything. And that was pretty much it. Even what you wear, that was it for the next, or for 12 years. Now you've got abundance of time available. You have less subjects maybe than you had at school. Even if you have more subjects, you maybe only have semester subjects, which means that you finish them halfway through the year. So you don't have a subject at the end of the year that you have to prepare for by going through a lot of volume of work, for instance. But with that comes the challenge of managing your time. I've used the example before of my two sons. How the one actually is a week away of graduating. I don't know, because he is the one that doesn't really plan. He knows that he writes a test, and if he writes a test between 12 and 4 because of load shedding, he will get up at 11:30. He'll take a shower, and then he will write his test. The other one is totally different. He plans it ahead weeks and months. Obviously, the results are different for the two individuals as well. But I think it's important that we realize that at this point, when it comes to managing your time, there is no hard and fast rule that works in every situation. If you are ever do the 5 steps: setting goals, analyzing the goals, planning, practicing, and following up, then you should be fine. But it's going to be different for different individuals. One person is going to do it in a way that suits him or her, and somebody else differently. And that's why we are different. That's why we have different personalities. We all get there. If we have to get to Durban by Sunday and we leave tomorrow morning, all of us are going to take a different approach in how we plan that trip and how we actually take that trip. Some people who have money would say, you know what, I don't really like this long drive, so I'm going to book myself either a bus ticket or a air ticket, and I'm going to fly there or take the bus. Some people are going to say, listen, I don't have a lot of money, but therefore I have to drive, but it's such a long stretch. Maybe we need to get 1 or 2 of us together and travel as a group, and then we can share the expenses. Are we going to get there by Sunday? Yes, we all, but we're using different ways of getting there. That's how you manage your time. There are certain dimensions, the 5 that we have at the bottom of the screen, that you apply, but how you do it is different for every individual. Right. Territory management. Why do we have territory management? For the reasons we have on the screen, especially in countries where there's a vast distances between destinations. I'm thinking of the Northern Cape, for instance. It's an 8-hour drive from Uppington, or 6-hour drive, probably 8-hour drive from Uppington to Calvinia, for instance. It's a 3.5-hour drive from Cape Town to Vredenburg. It is a 6-hour drive from Cape Town to Springbok. It's a 3-hour drive from Springbok to Uppington. They're all in the Northern Cape. And you're not going to just do that in 10-15 minutes. So for the purpose of efficiency, part of the planning, remember one of the dimensions, planning, is to break up large geographical areas into certain zones with specific selling boundaries. Then we know who's responsible, because you can then also track the performance of certain individuals because you've allocated them specific areas. There's different call patterns that we've identified: straight line, the clover leaf, all of those. Remember, they will be applied in each particular instance, depending on what your region is, how big your region is that you have to cover, how densely populated it is, how many clients you have in that particular area. And then it helps you then to plan that trip, because it is important that you do not waste time. If I want to go to Uppington, Calvinia, and Springbok on one trip over a period of 3 days. I tend to go to the furthest place on the second day. So on day one, I would travel, or let's say on a Sunday afternoon, I would travel to Calvinia. I know it's a 6-hour drive to get there. And I can be relaxed. I can start there on the morning. I can see all my clients, and then ensure that I leave around about 12 o'clock, so I can be in Uppington around about 7:30, 8 o'clock. I can be there the first thing the next morning to see my clients. When I finish, I can go to, I know it's a 3-hour drive, so I can maybe have more time now. It's also a larger city or town, therefore there might be more clients. And from there, I will then travel to Springbok, which is 3 hours away. And I know that if I leave around about 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll get there just before sunset, 5, 6, 7 o'clock. I can settle in, relax, and I'm there first thing the next morning. When I'm finished, I know it's about a 6.5 hour drive back home to Cape Town. So depending if I want to maybe stop at Vredenburg on the way, which is a 3-hour drive, and then break my drive, or I can actually go straight home because I want to sleep in my own bed for a change. Then you know that you have to leave around about 12 o'clock in the afternoon to be there around about sunset in Cape Town. That's how you plan, and that's why territory management is so important. Right. We've covered most of what you have on the screen in the discussion at the moment. We might just add one more thing, and that is that because of your efficient planning that territory management provides you, you actually can now cut costs. So your cost is now decreased. As we progress, people, during the session, when your load shedding starts or is about to start, just give me an indication. Sorry, I have to go because load shedding starts in 5 minutes. So I can just be mindful of that, please. Right. What's the next? Let's go to sales quotas are established, sales representative segments, accounts, yes. A, B, C, D accounts or extra large, medium, and small accounts, depending on what terminology is used in a particular business. That's basically how you break up the businesses within a particular region based on their spending, what they have done historically, what they're currently spending, and the potential of spending in future. You want your mediums to become large. You want your larges to become extra large. You have to just ensure that you have the full spread of all of them the whole time. Full the funnel from the top the whole time. Right. Another aspect that is important to highlight is that in some cases, businesses have limited resources. Because they have limited resources, they have to allocate them most efficiently. It appears as if the petrol price is going to be close to 20 Rand a litre. Yep, by Christmas. So maybe, yeah, we're probably going to stay home this Christmas. Anyway, it takes a lot of money to fill up a vehicle, and that's probably one of the most expensive items, or one of the largest expenses on a sales budget. Your promotional material is very standard. You can actually reduce your cost if you order larger numbers, which is good, and it's always helpful, provided that the promotional material is generic and it's not specifically for a particular product, because if that product changes next year, then the information on the promotional material is outdated and you can't use it. But those items that we have listed, like your traveling expenses, depending on the product that you're selling, the samples that you're taking with, your promotional material, your accommodation costs and stuff like that. Those are the main items usually in a sales budget for somebody who's traveling large distances. Right, break-even analysis, people. We've done that in our term test. You did a break-even analysis. Break-even analysis, quite simply, that point where you're not making a profit, but you're also not making a loss. That's why you're breaking even. What you are trying to do, and the main purpose of doing a break-even analysis, is to find out what is the minimum that you have to achieve in a particular month to cover your costs. If you know that your expenses is 1.2 million, then you need to make sales of at least 1.2 million to pay all the bills for a particular month. With established businesses, they have some reserves in case they have hiccups and bad months, or a pandemic. But at some point, that you don't want to, that's your safety net. That's the last thing that you use. You usually want to achieve at least the revenue or turnover that's going to be equal to your expenses for a particular period, to ensure that you survive and then grow your business over time. Right, the calculations, it's in your textbook. It's quite simple. I'm not going to go through this again. Just be sure that you can make these calculations. And it's quite simple. Break even. If I want a rand value for the break even, it would be like right at the bottom, 624,000 for this particular example. It's the fixed cost divided by the percentage of gross profit. And the percentage of gross profit basically is your expenses that you divide into your turnover of 1.2 times 100. That gives you a percentage of 33%. So if you divide your 208, which is your direct cost, salary 180, 10, 190, 208,000 for those three items. If you divide your 33% into that, times 100, you will find that the rand value of your break even is 624,000 rand. It's quite simple, people. Just ensure that you, like with any with any calculation or math, that you know the formula. And this specific module is not loaded with many formulas. I think this is pretty much the only formula that you have to know. So if we go back to what we said 2 weeks ago when we finished and we did our exam prep, which I will on Friday just quickly touch on again, there will be calculation questions in your paper. Revisit that particular slides. Your routing patterns, you did your routing patterns in your term test. Just make sure that you know all the different routing patterns. I'm not going to spend time on that again, because those 4 that we've identified, I think you can, by making your own assumptions, you're probably not going to get them in the same manner that you expected to explain them to me previously. But again, having said that, people, one thing very important to remember for your year-end exam on the 19th. There's nothing in any of the chapters that you can exclude. There are certain components that's obviously more important than others. I think we're focusing on most of them in the revision, but please do not exclude 5 or 6 chapters and think you're going to do well. I'm pretty sure that, and I'll look at the paper again before our last session, but I'm pretty sure that I've covered all chapters in some way or the other, because we've got multiple choice questions, and we've got matching columns, and we have true and false. So maybe work that has been covered in the term test can surface again in the form of a multiple choice or a true or false question. We've done chapter 5 on managing yourself and time management. Everybody fine with that? Any questions, anybody at this stage? Before we advance to chapter 6, which is the first step in the selling cycle. Remember, now we're going chapter by chapter. We're going through the steps in the selling cycle. Prospecting being the most important one. Am I correct if I say that? Is prospecting the most important step in the selling cycle? Anybody? If you think it isn't, you have to also tell me which it is. Yes, Teresa, it's not the most important one. Which is the most important one? Of course they are. All 10 of them are. You cannot make a sale if you do not have a prospect. You cannot make a presentation if you haven't qualified your prospects and made the appointment. All of them are equally important. Thank you very much for reminding us of that again, Teresa. It is definitely the case. Prospecting is where it starts, but it's not the most important one. Why is it important, however? It's important because we are going to, at some point, because our customers go through different phases of their life cycle and their needs change. Because their needs change, they might not buy from us anymore. So we're going to lose customers. We unfortunately are going to have customers who die, and we have to replace both those categories, the customers who don't have a need for our products anymore, as well as the customers who are not in a position to buy from us anymore because they're not alive. So prospecting, therefore, is important to keep on filling up the funnel with new leads that we can qualify to become prospects. We never stop prospecting, even if we've reached our target, even if we don't know the ends of our wealth, our business is flourishing. The day you stop doing it is the day that you're going to start, or your business is going to start going downhill. Another thing is also is that you should never, as a business owner, show your customers that you're making money out of them. If you all of a sudden now change your lifestyle and you're buying yachts and you're buying all the best vehicles and you move from your 3-bedroom house, because although it's only you and your wife, into a big mansion, customers are going to say, "Oh, hang on. That's only possible because we're supporting this guy, or we're supporting this business." You know what? There's nothing wrong with rewarding yourself, but it's also important that you do not do that at the expense of your customers. That's why you'll find that a lot of these rewards programs, yes, it is an attempt to ensure that you retain your customers, but it is mostly important for businesses who have these rewards programs is to reward the loyalty of the customers. Say to them, "Thank you, we've made a good profit. We're not going to keep all the profits for ourselves. We're also going to give you some kickbacks." Okay, we can't give everything away because then we don't have a business at the end of the day. But the bottom line is that you have to, unfortunately, you have to find that balance between showing your or thanking your customers for their loyal support, but also making a profit in the first place. Nobody's going to give money away if they're not making a profit. If you breaking even every month, you don't have anything to go give away. Prospecting, why is it important? Prospecting increases sales because you're finding new customers out there. Not customers, leads that you will qualify to see if they have the ability to firstly have the need for your product, have the ability to pay for the product, are in a position of authority to pay for that product. And then they become a prospect. They still haven't bought from you, but those are the ones that you obviously will be focusing on to convert them to purchase from you, to persuade them to purchase from you. Right. And the second one we have addressed already, to replace lost customers. Prospecting methods that we can use. There are many. It was also in your assignment that you had to indicate to me which prospecting methods are best in a specific situation. For instance, in that case, it was real estate. And I think for the, my apologies, I think for the benefit of this particular exercise, we're not going to be looking at each of these individually. Give me an example of a product that you are selling. Any product, anybody, any of you, give me a product that we can sell. Because then we'll, I want to bring it back to the prospecting method and apply it and see which of these methods are going to be best to sell that particular product or find new customers for that particular product. Any product, people, anybody. We're selling cars. Right, Teresa, we're selling cars. Right. Prospecting. Methods that's most applicable, obviously, is, and none of these stand in isolation. They're all combined. Okay. We can specifically use our center of influence. That's in a case where, and that's very popular with sport clubs and specific community organizations that's very visible in the community. They sponsor vehicles to celebrities or people with influence to support their cause, because if somebody sees so-and-so driving around in a particular brand vehicle, then obviously if they support that individual, it might be it might convince them when they are looking to buy a vehicle to also purchase something similar. Satisfied customers, I think, is also a very important thing, because if a customer is satisfied with the car that is bought from you and the way in which it was sold to you, it's a very nice person to contact to find referrals from. Are you happy with the service, sir? Oh, geez, best ever. I cannot tell you, it's the best ever. I never ever expected that buying a car would be such a good experience. Now, that's the kind of customer that you want to ask the question, sir, would you mind to share one or two, do you have one or two names of people that might be interested in buying, that you know that might be buying a car soon, or that you can, that I can maybe follow up and see if they have, because that's when you then also refer to, that's your icebreaker when you contact that customer. It's not a cold call anymore, because you're phoning this customer and saying so and so. Oh yeah, we was the friends, or no, we bribed together last weekend. That's a nice icebreaker as well. Okay, so endless chain technique, networking is very important, because if you and a lot of the dealerships work like that. The experienced salespeople are part of a network where they know that the customer is very interested in buying a vehicle. At that particular dealership or that particular brand just doesn't have something that can satisfy that need. Instead of saying, oh, you know what, tough, very often they refer that person to somebody in their network, another salesperson at a different dealership, different brand. That works both ways, but that only comes after years and years and years where you have established good relationships. Internet, always helpful. Any form of social media platforms, very, very helpful. And advertising. Advertising, very important in all different forms. Okay. Right. Guidelines for using the phone when you are going to prospect. I'm going to read through these, and I just want to pay attention to one or two specifically. Yeah, believe it or not, that standing position thing actually works. You actually want to, you are more alert when you actually standing instead of sitting down with your feet up on your desk. Too much information spoils it. Give them enough. It's a taster. They should be interested enough to actually come into your dealership and buy a car, or at least take it for a test drive, or at least for you to maybe take the car to them for them to have a demo drive. Do not attempt to sell the product on the phone. You are selling the appointment. You're not selling the product. You want them to see and feel and touch and sit in the vehicle and actually drive it around. Plan your script. Plan your script. Know what you want to say. Anticipate possible objections that they might have. More about that when we deal with that chapter later on. Overcoming a reluctant prospect. That is part of chapter 6. There are a few aspects in that. Oops, Daisy, that was too quick. There are a few aspects in that you can that we could address there, but as I said, I'm not going to do that. Although that is where chapter 6 ends, we are going to deal with objections that customers have in a later chapter. Everybody's still fine. You all still have power. You're all still good. Everybody good? Teresa, Tarquin, Luandu, all good. You want to take a quick break? It's a 5-minute break. That's to catch your breath. Maybe just you take a 5-minute break. It's up to you. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording, and then we take a 5-minute break. Let me have a look at my clock. Let's resume in about 5 minutes time. Let's say 22, 23 minutes past 1. Okay, thanks. We'll chat soon.